o Nishnabem when Janakasia Agjemnedo Bogosin Mensa Janondo Yangsa Manda Sesha Ishmigwachwen Mangsanangwa Mandam Quenamaing Wundaka Wasagaon Jikinomagas Jikinojiak Memdige Wanango Gishgak Mandasa Wadabata Mingsanangwa Ashemnedo Bogosen Madasha and Sabebejik Mampikina Eangsa Kegino and makes some other P. Janonda Gig Somnedo. Miguachamnedo, Mino Gisata Mishomis Gison, Mino Nookmis Bikizas, Mino Nangok, Mino Shkok McWege, Mino Mantiba Madsings, Mandasa Shkok Mekong, Miguachana Omnedosa, Mandasa Bemadsoin, Mino Mem Diego Jib Quenamang, Sogodaka Benochiak, Garden Guy Wondaki, Gibipskabi Siok. Memdigesh Gonogog Makwen Mananixa. Ashred Mishnang the Shebnedo Shred Mishnang, Ashred Mishnang Shebnedo Shred Mishnang, Ashred Mishnang Shebnedo Shred Mishnang, Ashred Mishnang Shebnedo Shred Mishnang. Nigwachniket. In acknowledgement of today, it's one of our practices to start off with a gratitude prayer in acknowledging the Creator. So we think about what we are grateful for today. And we think about today, and I spoke about this, we think about those children. Every Child Matters is the day that we celebrate, Orange Shirt Day. And so we think about what has happened in history. So in my prayer, we always give gratitude, like to Jemnedo for the sun, for the moon, for the star life, giving acknowledgement to the universal family, and also where we are today, Mother Earth. So we acknowledge everything on Mother Earth. We honor those 4 directions, everything that comes in 4, and today is a day that in history that we need to always remember and have it, be educational for other children, that come. We always think about the 7 generations. So we always want to teach our children, where, for instance, my grandchildren, I let them know where I was at the age of 5. So with that, I say miigwech to the Creator for all of the, when we put our minds together, when there is prayer, when there is smudge. Aha, miigwech nikit.
Well, I'm certainly relieved that Nookmis Martina made it on. So I'm so grateful for Jessica. Thank you, Jessica, for running down and checking on her and getting her going. I just want to remind everyone today that our session is being recorded. So if you want to, you're welcome to show your video. If you don't feel comfortable, that's fine as well. And to put yourself on mute, and I'm sure everyone has done that, to use also our chat box if anybody has a reflection and they want to post that, and we can return to that at the end of the session. Today, the way my mom and I have decided to do it was brainstorm some questions that I can prompt her with, and that way we can have a really focused discussion, and then at the end of our session we can have any other open questions that anybody wants to ask. So I did sing a welcome song, and I'm going to sing at the end of our session an honor song, but we're going to go right into the questions that we brainstormed today. And the first question that I wanted to to ask Nookmis was, what is her knowledge of the original story on Orange Shirt Day?
Well, it started in 2013, and I remember when it started, and it was Phyllis web stand that took this upon herself to start this Orange Shirt Day. And she spent a number of years in residential school. And it was her mission. I think it took her approximately 40 years to find a way to fight, like racism and bullying that was happening in the schools. And so she took it upon herself, because she was a residential school survivor. And she remembered the time when she was sent off to the school. Her grandmother gifted her a nice orange sparkly t-shirt, and she wore that to on her trip to residential school. And it was in St. Joseph's in the out west. And when she got there, as things happen, you're stripped off the clothes that you come in with, and you're showered and everything. So anyways, that orange shirt was never returned to her. And so it was her mission about 40 years ago, like she always reflected back on that orange color. And she thought, well, how am I going to help other people remember the history of Canada, what happened in history with Anishinaabe people. And so she thought about this orange shirt and having this this saying, every child matters. And indeed, every child matters. And, it's just reflecting on, how many children didn't come back. How many children didn't come back at that time. So September the 30th was designated for this Orange Shirt Day.
Miigwech, Nookmis. Do you have any stories that you can relate to or that is similar to Phyllis's experience?
Okay, just relating from my experience, I remember my mom telling me later on in life, that she had sent socks and mitts and things that she would send me, like a little chocolate bar and those kind of little gifts she would send to Spanish. And that's where I was from the age of 5 till I was 12. And anyway, she was telling me about those things that she sent me, and I never received any of those gifts. And I often wondered why. And later on, I would talk to my Aunt Shirley and wonder what happened to all those presents, gifts that were sent to all those children. And she would say, well, probably they went to the pets of the teachers, the ones that were running the school, even the nuns. Yeah. So anyways, that's I reflect on that because it's very similar. When you're gifted something and you never get the gift that your parents sent. So it's kind of sad, for me when I think about that.
Yes, it is very, I could feel that in my heart. So miigwech for sharing your experience on that. We hear so many stories of residential school survivors, and many of them uh, have negative impacts. And I really I really know, the trauma, the intergenerational effects that has on us. The sons and daughters of these survivors. However, I want to know if you have, because and everything in life there's a balance. We there's always this positive and negative. So I want to know if you can share with us, and if you feel comfortable, one negative impact and one positive impact of your experience.
Well, one negative one that I can think about right now is the Anishinaabe language. I spoke fluently when I was small. I remember that. But when I went there, I couldn't speak my language. And every time you're heard speaking the language, you were strapped. So the language later on, like I recall, every time I would go home during the summertime, I recall not being able to speak the language, and excuse me, not being able to speak the language. And when I went home at 12, I didn't think this would happen to me. Okay, composure. So when I would go home, finally at 12, everyone was speaking Anishinaabe, and I was speaking English. And so I found a couple friends that spoke the language, and they became my friends. And so I was able to, start relearning the language. And so that was the negative impact that I can recall. And the positive one was being able to finally come home and be with Anishinaabe people that love me, my parents, my siblings. And so being out on the land was so wonderful for me to be back on the land and to start learning the things that I kind of forgot during those times that I wasn't home. Summer is very short, so I would be sent back every summer. So I learned from that school, to be clean. And sometimes I always think about myself, like I must still have that within myself, about making your bed. That was one of the things that was installed in me, to make our beds every morning. So now I see repeated things that I'm doing for my grandchildren, make your beds, make sure your room is tidy. So that's also a positive thing. And yeah, so you asked for one, Lisa, so that's about it.
Thank you for sharing that. The language for Anishinaabe people is so important, and I've recently moved home to Wikwemkong, unceded territories, and I'm so blessed to hear the language spoken in the community. I go to the local gas station, and there's a young man who always speaks the language to me, and that fills my heart. Although I'm not a fluent speaker, I know the basic introductory language. So that my mom, she really did try to teach us, and she did her best. And now at, being in my 40s, I can understand people who talk to me, but I have difficulties talking back. So it's definitely a goal of mine to speak and retain the language. And I'm just so grateful that today my mom has that fluency in the language, and she's able to share that with my children. And I just felt that emotion too. So I just want to say miigwech for sharing the impacts, a positive and a negative and a positive, and how the experience of attending residential school, and in life in general, how we experience the many losses, but there's always new life that comes. So miigwech for that. What we look like, I'm a social worker, and so a lot of the work that I do, I often help people attain wellness, and really do that work at let's look at your well-being, and as trauma affects our well-being, I don't want to spend too much time on that focus, but I just want to know how overall residential school and being a survivor, you have been affected, but how did you work with that, in your well-being, Nookmis?
Well, one thing that happened to me in my life is I completely blocked off my experience in residential school. I had no recollection of that I spent all those years there from the age of 5 to the age of 12. And and so when my mother told me that that I did go to residential school, I argued with her and I said, no, I didn't go there. And so anyway, she started telling me, these things that I, every time I would come back with learning how to pray, saying all of these Catholic prayers. And so anyways, I think I was 17 when I finally went to that school at Spanish, and I started to get flashbacks about the times that I was there. And I think it was about 3 years ago, I actually was, I usually make yearly trips there. So that time I was there, I remember seeing myself, a little girl running up on those rocks. And so I realized, yes, I was residential school survivor. And I think it happened when I was speaking to an audience of 200 people or more. I think, I forget how many there were. But anyway, I realized that I actually brought it out. I actually said, yes, I am a residential school survivor. After that time, I started to look at that inner child, that suffered at that time, being ripped off away from her family. And I started to nurture my inner child, and started doing a lot of wonderful things for my well-being, and to be able to help other people. So it's been a long journey, and I always remember, that to educate my grandchildren, where I came from, and why I always, why I do things the way I do. So it's been a long journey, but I can say I have really worked on myself throughout all my years of, helping other people, and recognizing that we all have to go on our healing journeys. Residential school did, take away our culture and just our way of life. And it's just, good journey that I'm on right now, because I've relearned my language, since I've been home, and being an advocate for the language, because I feel it's very important as Anishinaabe to have our language. So I really worked on myself, because I used to make all kinds of crazy mistakes in speaking Anishinaabe when, and I I'm still learning, new words that, new technology words, so I'm still learning language as I go on in my life.
Which that kind of leads up into the next question about more about if there's other residential school survivors, how would you share with them some of the healing and your journey that you've been on? Is there specific strategies that you might want to share with somebody who's been on a similar journey as yours that would help them with their healing?
One of the things that has really helped me with this Minobimagsawan, this good life, is going back to ceremonies. And my children could attest to this. When I was in my early 30s, I would take my children to many different ceremonies. And the thing that has helped me is the culture, bringing that back into my life, my children's lives, and my grandchildren's life. And that has really helped me. So I share openly, the things that I have done to help the pain that I went through after remembering, the memory loss that I had. But now I started remembering, and that's the reason why I go back every year to Spanish. And I'll be going on the 22nd of October again this year. And so I continue to heal the pain within myself. And sometimes I do get emotional, like I got emotional just being in my office all alone here. And but it's something that has affected many of our people that have gone there, the boys' school, the girls' school, and a lot of times Anishinaabe didn't realize how this can also affect generations, intergenerational effects on our children, and how it can go on. So with Lisa, she would be third generational, because my mother also went to residential school, and I could recall, how my mother was, when she was raising us. And so there is a lot of things that you can do to try and help people that have gone through similar pain. And I always say, the thing that have always helped me is my connection to the land, my connection going to the land, and just being able to be there and embracing the earth. So throughout my life, I've learned many cultural teachings, and so this has helped me with, acknowledging the land. And this is one of the things that is so important to Anishinaabe: the land, the animal life, the plant life, and so these are all medicines. And sometimes we may suffer a lot of grief. And so this is where some of our medicines come in to help us in terms of recognizing that we are suffering, we are in pain. And sometimes, for Anishinaabe that have never dealt with that pain of that inner child that had suffered. So they might have went to drugs, alcohol, and stuff like that. So it's very hard for some individuals that don't have that help from others. So with my work that I do, like I always talk about residential schools and how it has impacted Anishinaabe students, even they might be third, fourth generational. It does affect us. And so it's important to educate people, educate all people, that even every child, every child that could be different nationalities, we need to also reach them because every child matters in this world. So I don't know if
Miigwech for the insight of healing, and it's just so important to have that connection with Shkokmakwe, Mother Earth. Like I was sharing with everyone, I have a private practice and I have many clients here that I see, and that's one thing that we do. Let's go walk, let's go by the water, let's let's have that offering of that tobacco to the earth. And I just see how our Anishinaabe, the ones that have been affected and impacted, how that helps with them on their healing journey. So miigwech for that, and miigwech for Mom for the good life that you've instilled in us, me and Ozzy. And my brother Ozzy is also on Zoom. So I just want to let everybody know that we're here supporting my mom too. So miigwech for that. The next question is that would there be one particular message? You talked about inner child work. Would there be one particular message that really stands out and resonates with you that you would give your inner child?
Well, one of the things that I would tell my inner child, it wasn't your fault that you were the only one, taken from your family of 13 to be to attend the residential school. Though I recognize, the position my parents were in at the time, and with the Indian agents coming to scoop up children. So being the oldest, I was the one that was that had to be taken, like to go to the school. So my inner child has forgiven, my parents, now that I've worked extremely hard, throughout my life with that forgiveness. So my inner child is now at peace and recognizes that this was something that has happened in history, and I think, for my inner child, I think about all those other children as well that were that never made it home. That some of them might have stayed there, from the age of even 3. I heard there was a child that was there at the age of 3, and anyways, with this story talks about how she never made it home. She was 16 and then she was let go. She never knew that she belonged to Wikwemikong, and she married and she moved out to the East Coast. And it was her children that found where her roots were. And it was from Wiki. Wikwemkong, as we know it as Wikwemkong. So it makes you wonder, like how many children never made it home. And I think about all those children as, like even the ones that did come home, how it must be for them that they weren't able to heal that inner child within themselves, that struggle, as they became adults. So it's something that, my inner child is now at peace, and like sometimes I will, like when I think about it, like it does affect me now and again, like still, um, especially today. Miwa.
Miigwech. Um, I think we're getting close to wrapping up, but I think there's two more questions. So that kind of leads up to our next question about your thoughts and your experience around the reconciliation with the government when government did put out apologies a few years ago, and what you think about that.
Well, personally, I didn't, like for myself, when they first started, um, maybe about, geez, I'm getting, the apology didn't really mean anything to me. And when I think about back to the time where residential schools started having, like acknowledgement of the school in Spanish, I couldn't even go to that celebration they had, and many adults from that school went, but I couldn't get myself to go because I was still hurting a lot, after not remembering, that part of my life. So I was still in a lot of still working on trauma that I experienced there. But the apology, for me, I know my aunt went to Ottawa that time, and I know a lot of residential school survivors went to Ottawa to receive this message of apology. For me, it really, it didn't really sink in, like there's a lot of things that could have been implemented by the government, like to acknowledge the things that have happened in history, and it's still happening. And so I don't know how else I can comment about this, like in terms of, like even there's the healing and that has to come out of all of this, the healing of all nations that live here in Canada, to be able to be educated on, especially today, Orange Shirt Day. And because it never was before, we never acknowledge. Uh, oh, it says something came on internet. Can you still hear me? Okay. Oh, something came on. Okay. So.
You're good, Mom.
Okay.
You're good.
Yeah.
So I guess. Okay. I'm glad she's here helping me out. I'm using her computer, Jessica's computer. You saved the day. even though the government offered money to survivors, but the money cannot compare to what the children endured in those days of residential school. So the apology really didn't mean anything to me, you know, because a lot of us survivors still have to continue to on that healing journey, even how it doesn't matter how old we get. So that much I'll say.
Miigwech, Nookmis, for your thoughts on that reflection of what the reconciliation and the government and the apology, how that sits with you. So I respect that. I think the last question that we have, as we're coming to close to the end of our questions, is the focus on continued healing and wellness. And I guess this could pertain to yourself, or it can pertain to other residential school survivors, and what your message would be for healing and wellness.
Okay, for myself, right now I'm thinking about a sacred fire. This is where my mind is right now. And being able to be at the sacred fire and offering my tobacco to those little ones that never made it back, and to acknowledge those spirits that never made it back. And my healing is ceremonies, and that's how I've raised my children. The importance of ceremony really helps us continue on that healing menobimatsu and that good life. And so this is where my thoughts are today, like is with offering some food, you know, to those spirits, and being around that sacred fire, and thinking about, you know, the my grandchildren to come. You know, like when like I know I have two great grandchildren already, and to be able to think of all the ones that are going to be following, you know, the 7 generations behind. So I think about all of those children, and so this is where my mind is today, and we continue to my daughter, my son, my 2 daughters actually, and my 2 sons follow that good life. And I'm thankful that, you know, I did the best I could do to raise them. And I always stress education is so important. Educating our and so that's one of the things that I'd like to stress, is that education.
Miigwech, Nookmis, and that's so true. I can speak to that, and it's been about 4 years since I obtained my MSW, and so I'm really grateful that I had the support that I had and the encouragement to continue on this educational path. So I think now what we'll do is we will open the floor for any questions. We'll have you know, a few questions from the participants today, or statements or feedback. It is now open floor. So if you want to pose that to myself or my mom or even my brother Ozzy, he can jump in, chime in. We can have open floor.
Always the challenge for the first person to go. So I'll go. First of all, thanks for organizing this, Miigwech, for all the sharing as well. Nookmis, as I always tell you, I never fail to learn something when I hear you talk. So such a pleasure. Maybe just to throw it out there in terms of if you had one wish of what could be different by this time next year, when Orange Shirt Day happens again, what would that be?
That all schools, elementary to, all schools, universities, colleges, acknowledge that they, to remember and to be, not just to come and, get orange shirts, but to also be educated. Why is it that we're wearing orange shirts? So education for all those levels, and to wear those shirts on that day, acknowledging the history of Canada. What had happened with having residential schools. So that would be my wish, like for all levels of education, to recognize this day as a special day.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Bill. I would just add on to that. If I would say, along with that educational piece, to also, my wish would be to have that sacred fire outside those educational institutes, so all those individuals can go and offer to their tobacco and honor the spirits that have left us. So miigwech for that question, Bill. I have one question on the chat from Lindsay. Lindsay had said, I'm disappointed that the Catholic Church won't apologize. Would that apology mean more to you than the government one? Or is it not relevant to survivors? What are your thoughts on that question?
I would certainly say it would mean much more if they did, because it was run by the Jesuits, and I think it would mean more to me if that was coming from them as well.
Mm-hmm. Miigwech. Marissa has a statement. It says, you spoke a lot about healing and intergenerational trauma. How can we all help with healing the cultural trauma and healing as a whole, other than just recognizing it on Orange Shirt Day? Thank you, Marissa. Do you have any feedback on that question, reflection, Mama?
Could you repeat that, Mama?
Mm-hmm. She calls me Mama. Oh, geez. Okay, so she says, how can we all help with the cultural, how can we all help with the healing and cultural trauma and healing it as a whole, other than just recognizing it on Orange Shirt Day? And I want to say miigwech for that, Marissa. And I think for you just being here today and becoming more aware and educated of this intergenerational trauma, you're doing your part. And so now it would be filtering that out. I can definitely follow up with a link recording to this session, and you can share it on no, not just Orange Shirt Day, but maybe there's another day that you want to continue this education into your classroom or with your peers. And so as collective, you know, when we're doing our sharing our own personal reflection with others, it doesn't have to be on Orange Shirt Day. You know, you can say, hey, I remember last month I was on this this session, Zoom session, where we talked about residential school. You know, so it's taking it one step further and sharing that, not just today, but every day, because every day, every child matters.
Miigwech, Mama. Oops. Oh boy.
We have another comment here. It would be really awesome if we could get to the point of awareness that general public apologies to us on Orange Shirt Day. And that was a statement put in there. If you want to elaborate on that, now is your time.
Well, it's important that, you know, we continue to talk about, you know, what happened in history, you know, like, because a lot of times when people move to Canada, a lot of them don't know the history of Canada, and that Aboriginal people were, Indigenous people were here long before. So it's important that they all get educated in terms of what has happened.
I like that Jan has in the chat reminded us of some beautiful stories that have been written by Indigenous writers. So she has that in the chat box. There's I'm Not a Number, Orange Shirt Day, I Lost My Talk by Rita Joe. So I want to just point that out. Miigwech for that, Jan. So I guess if there's no more, is there any more? Ozzy, do you want to chime in?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to say miigwech to all of you that were able to be present, and to all the other people that, you know, want to be here, but they can watch this video after, so that's even great as well. I want to say miigwech to my mother. Took a lot of time to heal from all the experiences that she's been through as a child. And I am grateful that she was able to do that, to go through that process of nurturing her inner child, as she was saying. We would have turned out a whole lot differently if she had, yeah, miigwech. It's emotional. Just think about. So yeah, and thank you, Lise, for doing this.
Miigwech, brother, miigwech. So with that, I'm going to sing a song, an honor song. You are welcome to join in. It's the Magaze Eagle honor song, and as we sing this song, we'll honor the spirit of Martina, Nookmis Martina, our mother. We'll honor the spirit of all the children that never returned home, and we'll honor the spirits of all of the residential school survivors. So this will be our closing song. And that concludes our session for this Orange Shirt Day presentation. I want to say miigwech to all of you, your beautiful spirits, the time that you've taken to join us to learn, to share, and to continue on your journey to spread this awareness of residential school and how it has had such impact on all of us in Canada. So again, miigwech, bamampi, stay safe.
And I'm off to the sacred fire.
Yes.
I'm off to a ceremony. So, miigwech, kinabuya.
Miigwech, Nookmis.
Miigwech.
Zaagidwin.
Zaagidwin Geni. Zaagidwin Gwis.
Logan.
Miigwech, Lisa, for doing this too.
Miigwech, Lucy, for joining in today. It
Thank
was
you.
so beautiful to see all of you. Thanks, Jan, for joining us. Miigwech,
Thank you so
Grace,
much.
Marissa, Jessica.
Thank you so much, everybody. We enjoyed with you.
Thank you, Chef.
Thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. See you, Lisa.
Yeah, see you, bro. Okay, so just press yes?
Yeah.
Okay.